Hey, MegaJeff here for a fun little thread. Yeah, we're going to do another thread today. This is a thread started by Tommy over at Tommy's Musical Adventures. He just wanted to see 5 great debut albums. Well, Peter over at Music is a Journey got a hold of the thread and twisted it a little bit. And he showed 5 debut albums that were great, but were unlike anything else the band's rest of their catalog did. So I'm taking his cue and going with that because I've shown debut albums in the past, and debut albums, that's a great thing. It'd be easy to do. This adds a little twist to it, makes it a little tougher because you're looking for debut albums that are good, great albums, but how the band changed after that, or they didn't hold true to that same style as they went along. So let's get right into this. And most of these, it seems like, except I think all but one of them, most of these are back in the 70s, and most of these bands, well, most of them have been active for many, many years, and some are still active, like Accept. First Accept album, totally unlike anything they did after this. Even Udo's vocal stylings were pretty normal here. And then on the next album, he started with his more signature sound that he was known to have through the rest of the 80s and stuff. This is 1979. A bunch of lads there from Germany who were just giving us a solid rock album, and it's a great album. It's got some ballads and stuff, but it's different. It's different than what they are known for on later albums. So interesting, but different. Still a decent album. Here's one I've mentioned hundreds of times: the first Adam and the Ants album. And this makes sense because this was a totally different band, and I've told the story before. They put out this album. It's got that, kind of a poppy punk feel of the 70s. This is also 1979. And right after this album, the band was taken away from Adam, and they formed Bow Wow Wow, and then he put together a new band, which is where we get on the next album, which is a totally different feel. It's still kind of got the punkish edge, but it's, definitely tribal and interesting. So, still absolutely one of my favorite albums, though. And all of his albums, are different and unique in their own thing. But yeah, so this is an excellent album, but not the same style that he went on with after that. Then we move back a little bit into 1977 with the first 38 Special album. Now, of course, we got Donnie Van Zant, so you're expecting the Skynyrd connection because of his brother this was right around the time when his brother actually passed away. It would have been in the plane crash and everything. Skynyrd had already established themselves. In comes the brother. And this does have a very southern feel. It's at times a little more on the country side of things, a little more like what the Van Zant brothers are doing these days, Donnie and Ronnie. It's a little bit more in the country. It's got a lot of the boogie feel to it, but it's definitely not. On the next album that followed, they started getting. You could see more of a commercial southern rock feel, and then of course we know they went on to be huge in the '80s with their straight up radio rock. Kind of lost a lot of that influence of the southern country boogie aspect and went straight forward radio rock. So these early days, they really harken back to that early sound. It's a great album if you really enjoy that sound. But again, right after this, they really kind of kicked it up a notch and became quite a bit different. Also 1977, Keep the Dogs Away by Thor. A little obscure for some people. Thor has been around, put a new album out just last month, and he's still around. And so this album is very different than everything else he's ever done. The reason being is, prior to this, before doing a Thor album, there was a band, I don't know, they did some recordings. I don't know if they ever released anything on, record or anything back in the day, but Thor and the Imps was kind of a stage show. They did Vegas and stuff, and this music is kind of in that vein, but it's just kind of campy and fun, 70s stuff. After this, when he came back with this next album, it was pretty much straightforward 80s metal. And so it's a very big difference. This has kind of got I don't want to say disco at all, but it's kind of got a keyboardy feel at times. But absolutely love this album. It's just an amazing album. I love it. It's for being so different. I love to get, there have been some reissues of some of the Thor and the Imp stuff, which is similar. Again, the style is similar, but it's, still different. I wish that they would reissue those. Those were like digital downloads years ago. I wish they would reissue some of those. Now, turns out that after this album in 77, around 78 or 79, he did record another album that went unreleased. And so when he did come back in the early 80s with that first album, which was Metal, that was the second album. But since then, they reissued the unreleased second album. And while it's still not like this, it's closer to this than the Metal Edge that he went straight forward with after that. So it is definitely, you can see the progression between those three albums. But at the time, it was this one, and then radically different for the next one. The last one is into the 90s, a band that doubtfully many of you know, kind of obscure, Mortal with Lucis. And the reason this is so different, this is like industrial, techno, wave. People call it all kinds of stuff. At the time, it was just kind of an industrial pop, not an industrial metal. But for the most part, the reason it changed so much is because on this first album, it was just like two guys programming everything and singing and playing guitar. It was just mainly, I think, a two-guy project. Now, one of the guys from this band did, after a handful of albums, after Mortal disbanded years later, join Switchfoot, and I believe he either is still in there or he was in there for quite a while. So he did go and do that. But when they did this album, it was very quirky, electronic, lots of little clips from movies and shows and things like that made it really interesting, and I just absolutely fell in love with this. Second album, it became more of a full band project. Very much, it still had an industrial feel, but it had a more of a band feel with, sounded like more like real instruments. It just sounded a lot different than this one, which had more of a pop sensibility to the industrial flair. And then on the next album that came after that, it became almost really alternative sounding. And then after that, it became very, just kind of, at times, very trance feeling. They changed almost every album. They went on to do different stuff, and then eventually even changed and started doing stuff under another name because the music had changed so much. But this first album is where it starts for me. I was so excited when they put this out on vinyl 10 years or so ago. It was absolutely great. Love this stuff. So there you go. 5 great debut albums that just don't match where the band went after that. And that's really cool. Bands change, and I think it's really great, some of these albums. So just want to have fun with that one. Jump on board. I'll have a link below to Tommy's original video, and you can see what's going on and jump on too. And I'll see you later. Rock on and rock hard.